So after I left fundamentalist Christianity and religion, I realized how churches teach the prosperity gospel to its members. And if they gain enough money, they buy expensive planes, homes, and things that would be much better spent on the poor and needy members. Now, not all churches teach the prosperity gospel. It's actually one of the minority Christian belief systems. More fundamentalism and certain Christian cultures teach this. And I wouldn't say it's a modern idea, but I've seen a resurgence of this, especially in Joel Osteen's churches and similar denominations. And it's just something that bothers me. So if you've read the Bible, you know how Jesus feels about his followers becoming rich and using their finances to benefit themselves. I remember reading a story in church for many, many years where Jesus took a whip and destroyed part of the temple courtyard when religious people try to profit off other people. And I always wonder, do Christians just not care? Do they have a short-term memory? Or do they not read the Bible at all? I think there isn't one right answer. I think it goes strictly by what denomination, church, and what group you associate with. Some churches, they seldomly read the Bible ever. There are other groups that read the Bible, but they cherry pick what verses they follow. Others, they just make whatever rules they want to. They don't they don't care about the validity of the Bible, even though now I see it as a pretty poor excuse for morality. But the idea that churches are supposed to be wealthy, booming, and basically the one reason why we should never give churches tax exemption. Because churches are not supposed to be the biggest place in town. They're not supposed to make a profit. Everything they make should go to pay the people who work jobs in the church. The money should also go to members and needful non-members. The money should be spent within the community or sent to places that they support. My family supported kids in Africa, especially girls, getting an education at the very cheap price of $50 a month. You can you can be a member of churches that actually give back to the community. And I always look at churches. The more pageantry they have, the finer, more elaborate building they have, it's a good indication of how they live their lives. The more flashy, showy, and opulent the church is, I found that they usually lean toward the Joel Osteen form of religion, which the prosperity gospel has nothing to do with Christianity. Nowhere in the New Testament did any of the 12 apostles become rich, wealthy, and thrive. They all ended up executed. I don't know of very many Christians that had a thriving, booming business in the Bible. Most of them didn't even have a house. Or they didn't use the money they received from their labor, their business to profit off themselves. They gave it back. Some of the Apostle Paul's friends were wealthy Romans and Gentiles. They didn't use their money to become wealthier. They gave it away. There's nothing wrong with having more money than other people. You do have a bigger responsibility to make sure that everyone who isn't as lucky as you are, due to life circumstances and economy and location, are taken care of and have the dignity that everyone deserves to have, because we're all valuable human beings. But yeah, prosperity gospel goes against everything the Bible teaches. If you are giving what you make back to needful people, you would not have opulence. And churches that are huge, like Scientology, that's not how the Bible says to live your life. And in my opinion, based on being in every state and country in North America, the churches that are the closest to biblical accuracy and validity are small churches. The churches with less than 150 members, I found, are consistently kinder, nicer. They reject the prosperity gospel. They're in their community helping people. Even though I think their religion is bogus, it doesn't mean they can't help people. So yeah, churches that are very small are consistently, from what I've found and from what other people I've met and talked to have found, are more likely to resemble Jesus than any of these big places. The bigger the church, the more they pass around the offering plate. And you can give your entire life savings away, and the next week they're going to ask you for more. There have been kids who have been robbed of their inheritance by grandparents and parents who believe that giving everything to their church was next to godliness. And there's nothing wrong with leaving money to a church, as long as you know that church will help other people. So, why are churches so greedy? Why is what people give never enough? Because that's how religions and churches work. The church teaches the prosperity gospel and the art of giving money through shame to greedy places, so they can have the opulent lifestyle that they believe they deserve. People like Jimmy Swaggart, Jim Baker, Joel Osteen. These people are scam artists. They're frauds. They are as worthy of respect as a psychic who pulls on everybody's who basically takes them to the cleaners. Any Christian that keeps asking you for money and is never grateful for what it has and always wants more is an ATM machine. It's not a church. A church is not a place that has a steeple. It's where consistent Jesus-like behavior is found. And it's sad that members believe that the more they give, the higher part of heaven they'll be in. And it's kind of the same with Mormons. The more wives you have, the higher you are on the hierarchy of heaven. And it's all about pride. Nobody's supposed to know what you give. Giving is not about being a good Christian. It's about being a kind, loving human being. Because one of the reasons I give is because at some point in my life, I'll be in need. The second reason is because I care about other people. I want other people to have help when they're in trouble. I even give to people who most Christian places would not help. And I work in the medical field. I've worked with people who are trying to get clean and go to AA meetings. I don't believe that the way someone lives makes them any less needful of help. But everybody needs help at some point. And I don't want to feel bad someday for getting help if I've never helped other people. Honestly, if you can't help other people, you shouldn't be asking for help. And our society makes money off people who need help. We call them health insurance. Our country is despicable how it treats the sick, the poor, the destitute, and the single. Churches shame women for being single, and yet they create an environment where women trust men. It never really ends, does it? Somebody is always blaming the person who's usually not in charge, especially in religious locations. But the idea that you're going to prosper being in religion goes entirely against the New Testament. Because in the Bible, God's people, the Jewish nation, I don't know of any group that is more well known for being persecuted. If you know of one, put it in the comment. I don't think there is any group of people that have been as persecuted as the Jews. And ironically, some Jews are now doing genocide. Every group is capable of atrocities, but they're also able to be controlled and misused. So we need to hold everyone accountable for abusing the system and harming people and being greedy. You cannot call yourself a Christian or even a church if you're greedy.